So when I decided in 2019 that I needed to move, I needed to rearrange, I decided that it wasn't just action. Thank you, Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, and all the other motivators. It's massive action. You have to take massive action towards what you believe in and what you do. So that's what I did.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm so excited you're here. Welcome back. I know you've been watching. My name's Tiffany Alexander, and this is my show, Unveiling Journeys. I get to meet some of the coolest people I've ever met in my entire life. And let me just tell you this, their stories, their widgets, their thing, what they're up to is so incredible. This is why and how the show was born, because they can't be kept under a rock. I need to be their megaphone. I want to echo what it is that they're doing. And how do you want to know that I'm meeting all these people? Because every single person that I meet, I say, you're so fun, you're amazing. But let me tell you my story. Who do you know that I need to know? And that's it. I just keep inviting myself to say, who do I need to know that you know? But also, here's everybody that I know, and I want you to know them too. So I just want to share in the abundance of people. And that's exactly how I met Mel. Like, we were in the same room together, and he's like, oh my gosh, we need to meet. Let's have a virtual cafecito. And we did. We met, and here we are, like brother and sister, like we were separated from birth. And you get to meet him today, and I'm so stoked. So with that, welcome. I'm so excited. Mel, tell everyone who you are and what you're up to right now.
Well, I did a little DNA analysis, and apparently I'm your brother. But we'll put that aside. Mel Reyes, born in Puerto Rico, raised in New York, and living my best life here in California. I've spent a lifetime in tech and security and doing all kinds of other wonderful things. Started a journey back in 2019 that led me to California. And all of that was golfed around a very core theme that I wanted to make sure that I followed, that I wasn't following, and that was to educate and elevate. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. Educate and elevate. All right. I need to know more because yeah, that's amazing. It can be educating anything and well, elevates everyone, right? We all bring everybody up. What are you educating in?
So the story that I believe and that I actually push out to everyone is having moved 14 times before I was 13 and having shuffled through the system of going from poverty to where I am now. It took me about 30 years to figure out some shit. What I said to myself, I was like, hey, there are a lot of people out there like me who are struggling, didn't know, didn't have the connections, there were certain, I didn't even know how to apply to college. I had a couple of people who were beautiful, Andy Torres and a bunch of other folks who were able to kind of guide me through, but it was a struggle. And 6, 7 years ago, I decided, I was like, why should it take somebody 25 years to figure this shit out? Why don't I give back, make the time? So that's what I did. I started with my quest for the West, which you can look up the hashtag on LinkedIn, and there's old articles and motivational things there. So to me, educate is how do I give back? I live in a house with 4 women, right? Was raised by my mother, right? I'm the last of 7. So I saw the drama that she had to live through. So my focus is really on, underprivileged, underserved, and how do I help out as many different groups, including very specifically women's groups.
Hmm.
So that's the educate portion of it. The elevate portion of it is how do I help promote? How do I help with career development, mentoring, coaching, and everything else that I do through not only the programs like Raices, Cyber, ISA, SoCal, Tech Impact, and the multitude of programs, but how do I do that for the teams, for the companies that I work at? And how do I do that for my coaching clients?
Oh my goodness. It's so much. Like you're just a bundle. When we hang out, it's like not just fireworks, but like you and I, it's drinking from a fire hose, right? It's like, how can I help you in what way? And let me just pour into you and let's figure out how to unpack everything, right? We had this little private chat in the green room and we're like, all right, who has tissues ready to go in case we need them? Like me. Okay. So let's do this. Tell me from the beginning. Like you said, you're from Puerto Rico, but you lived in New York. Like from the beginning, what did you want to be when you were growing up? Like, I want to start from where this all birthed.
What did I want to be when I was growing up? I will say my mother is one of the most stern parents you could ever meet. There were times where I would cry for a father to be in the picture because she wanted to protect me because the other 6 that she had were all over the place. I learned a lot from being a listener. This is going to sound crazy, Tiffany. I know you know me. The rest of the world knows me, but I was really quiet as a kid. I was also really shy as a kid. Like crazy talk, crazy talk. I also had curly hair, but that's a whole other story, right? So what I started to realize was I was effectively learning through the dramas and traumas of what I was seeing and doing behavioral analysis, right? To read people, to understand situations, to listen for tone and inflection and everything else. So as a kid, I think it was always my left hand. My left hand is probably malformed in comparison to my right hand because that was the hand that my mother would hold and squeeze every time my brothers did something, right? When we were out in the streets or whatever. So I saw the direction she wanted to take and the hard line rules that she laid out. I'll give you a primary example. My older brother was the most defiant, the one of the last 3 of us, the most defiant of them all, ended up going into the military, getting kicked out. I mean, just everything. He had a bicycle, and my mother refused a bicycle for me because she didn't want me to get hurt because she saw how big of an idiot my brother was. My brother, being the champion that he is, brought me to the junkyard, found a frame, found a couple of rims. We bought a couple of inner tubes, and he built me a bike. And that day, we were late for dinner.
You don't do
So my
that.
mother is standing right on the sidewalk, right on the door on the sidewalk, with her arms crossed. We pull up. I put the bike in the little alley. She saw us. She comes out with effectively a machete, but a big kitchen knife, goes to my bike, slashes the tires, comes back in, and she says, dinner's on the table. So that was the mindset, right? If I said something, it's not going to happen. But I also learned a ton from how defiant, how strong, and how powerful she was in setting the grounds for any of the men who approached her, any of the relationships she was in. So, but I also saw the struggle of how she was trying to raise 3 boys by herself. So for me, when I see injustices in salary, in treatment, in tone and infliction, in harassment of women, I don't have time to play. I have 3 daughters. I don't want this world to be living like that.
No.
Right. So I fight for that, but I also fight to help elevate, educate everyone because um, I had a handful of beautiful souls that were able to get me through these steps and everything else. I'll say up until I was 19, that was all cute. I was in my second year of college. I didn't even know what I was doing in college, except for I knew I didn't want to be an accounting major anymore, but I got a scholarship for that. So I switched my major, big pivotal point at that point. But having been raised by my mother, the way the rules, the guidelines, everything else, that was gangster for me to say, yeah, no, I don't have time to play this, and I learned a lot.
Yeah. Man, that's incredible. I relate to anybody that's like so far into their degree and was like, wait a minute. Why don't they make it go out further that you have to make this decision later on? They push you into this degree or, you get encouraged or influenced into it. But I feel you.
The reason I paused at 19 and I didn't continue was just to give you a breather and give me a breather. Age of 19, after my sophomore year, I changed my major. That's when my mother decided, we lived in New York. That's when my mother decided she wanted to move back to Puerto Rico. So that summer, I spent packing up and then moving on campus in the fall and effectively being homeless.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
So I spent the last 2 years of college living out of crates and garbage bags
Oh my gosh. You're right. Right. Yeah.
in a dorm or an apartment or everywhere else. No car, no license, right? So what I did learn from that was there is a community of folks. I had my fraternity, I had friends and everything else. And if it had not been for some of the connections that I had made, some of the relationships that I had built, and some of the work that I had done, I wouldn't be here right now. So yeah, some foundational shit going on here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So you're building these bonds with these people, getting you through some really tough years when you're finally out from underneath the wing of your mom. And then we're moving on to like changing a complete different career path that people are led to believe this is what you're going to do outside of college, right? So what does that feel like? You get to graduation day? Did you go all the way through?
All the way through. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
It was phenomenal. I worked full time on campus. During the summer, I worked off campus taking 2, 3 buses to wherever the hell I needed to be. On weekends, the weekends were the best because while I partied, I knew I needed to make money. And the only money that I could make was the grill cook on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings. So I'd get all the drunkards coming in while I'm making them their omelets and everything else. And that was important to me from a sustainability standpoint, but also from a discipline standpoint. I bartended. I did everything I could at different events. And it helped me because I continued to build that network, but I also continued to know that I needed to build a tolerance and a strength to, as I say in Spanish, la lucha, the fight, right? That battle. And not gonna lie, fast forward 40 years later, whatever it is, it's been a little tough. Been a little tough. This year's been a little rocky. And I love the other persistence. You said it yourself. I saw the damn video. I'm like, "Arr!" She really is my sister, right? The persistence in being able to see forward, not anchor yourself back. The give back. Whew, man, I'm just saying, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of people give me the same grief. Like, Mel, you should get paid for this. I'm like, no, I don't want to get paid for this because that's what everybody else is doing to help this person who doesn't have money, right? They're trying to pitch them something. I'm like, they don't have money. Why would I charge them for life experiences and everything else? Just got another resume in my inbox again today. I'm like, gonna load it up. Let's help you. Let's see how we can get you set in your career. So
Yeah.
and I'll share I'll share the my school picture that I used to kind of motivate people of the little kid who had hair and was innocent with the orange colored turtleneck sweater, right? To where I am now, the 30, 40 years in between, which should 35, maybe 45, which has been phenomenal. And to me, every person that I see on LinkedIn has just landed a job literally this week. Somebody just started their new job. And I was like, amen, right?
Yeah.
I may have had 1% or 99% contribution to helping them in their pitch, in their resume, or anything else, but they landed, right?
Yeah.
And they landed a better job that pays better. And this, at the other, and up to me, I'm like, let's go all day, every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man, that's amazing. So really the entrepreneurial spirit has been brewing in you since the hustle and grind to make it from not having a place to sleep between those semesters of living in the dorms to your first job to knowing, all right, I got to get this going to make it happen. What did you do when you left college and you got to that? Like, what was your first job well, I know you had jobs throughout college, but like the turning points in where you started to see, maybe I don't want to do what it was immediately, what I was doing outside of school.
Yeah. Well, I definitely did not want to work in a computer lab, and I definitely didn't want to work the grill of a fast-paced cafeteria. But what I was able to do was, because of the work in the computer lab and doing IT work, I ended up landing a part-time job with Kraft General Foods. It was just down the road. At that point, I could bus it there. Great, talk about having one of the best great bosses, Mary Ellen Malloy, rest in peace. She really just kind of took me under her wing and just said, this is what we need you to do. Tim Larkin and a bunch of other folks. I mean, that first real job, like, I had never worked in a damn office. I had no idea what FICA was, right? Outside of, a couple of other sidebar things. I was like, deductions. I didn't have any, I was clueless, right? Well, I landed that job. It was part-time, almost 3/4 time, and I was working late. And one of the things, it was Kraft General Foods, the desserts division. So, I mean, just imagine, right? That was a whole, like, don't give a diabetic a job at the desserts division of Kraft, but that's what happened. And I was working late, and the lights would go off at a certain time unless you called security and you told them, hey, people are working here. So I'm working, doing some computer updates across a bunch of computers. The lights go out, and there's a team that comes towards me. They're like, hey, we're working at Nielsen and we're trying to get this software installed on your computers and your configurations. Apparently, allegedly, they had been there all day trying to do this.
Yeah.
So then I go, what are you trying to do? And I'm like, well, and I'm like, oh, what does this software do? And so mind you, it's like like a murder mystery because it's dark. I've got
Yeah.
shadows coming towards me, right? The only
Right.
thing I can see
Right.
is the monitor light. And it's shady, now you'd be like, no, I don't believe you. I need to see ID, call security. But back then it was like, you're in the building. I guess I trust you. They're like, here's the disk. I go in, I'm like, oh, I see what your problem is. I'm like, yeah, you just have to configure this, save it to the disk and load it up on the computer, give it back to them. That's how quickly I did that. I swear, my boss, Melissa Smith, almost cried. She's like, how the hell did you do that? We've been here all day. I'm like, well, you need to understand the memory upload. And I just, and she's like, we should talk. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, I'm their system admin at the office for Nielsen Marketing Research, full-time
Yes.
job. And she was one of the best bosses I've ever had. Like, she was one of the ones where I learned where we don't have a problem, we have opportunities, right? She was the one.
I like those.
It was so the journey continued from there, and
Oh my
just
goodness.
really great people that have guided me through that.
Oh my God. Well, that's an amazing story for you to be able to land like the stars aligned, right? I don't believe in just happenstance. I believe in like divine opportunity where people come into your life at the light. Even if it's the wrong time, it's the right person. We'll figure it out, right? So, okay, that happens. You're working there full time. Tell me more. Like, I want to hear the whole thing.
Worked there full time. We had a relo. We did technical upgrades. I built that out. Then I decided, I'm like, I keep getting all these inbound emails about consulting jobs. And I'm like, I'm 2, 3 years out of college, right? But I have about 6 years of experience. So I reached out to one of the contracts, and at that time it was like money was flowing in contracting, but I was an entry level ish, contractor. So I got a decent pay hauling into downtown New York for Smith Barney, which ended up getting bought and collaborated with Citibank. This at the other. Went in, started doing compliance work, started doing configuration work, and then went to another contract, then went to another contract, then went back to full time. And I've spent my whole career kind of working through that up until, let's say, for example, 1999. I know I'm old, get over it, people. So the 5, 6 year span of doing all of this buffet of different roles into me at a startup, small startup. They were about to go public. This is 1999, right? The boom of startups. You may have heard of them. I think they're still around. Priceline. So I landed that job, and it was just fireworks. I mean, infrastructure, everything. It was just incredible. Another great boss there, Alan Benzigan. And from that, I started to realize, I'm like, startups are good, banks are good, CPG's good, right? I was so cross-functional that I was like, bring on the next thing. I was a coder. I wrote a book. I was like, whatever, like sleep was optional for me at that point, right? Like I'm highly caffeinated, my cafecitos and everything else. I'm like, let's just go, right? I just finished my Monster. So if they want to sponsor this Monster, please, help Tiffany out. It was just like an influx of, there's a whole world of things that I didn't know. And I just spent year after year just sucking it in, right? I was an open source developer with Mozilla. I did extensions. I mean, it was just like, had nothing to do with getting paid. Right.
Right.
I had 13 extensions at one point because I had an audience and people needed the feature, the functionality. I inherited extensions and plugins that were abandoned. I'm like, I needed that and you abandoned it. I'm taking your code and I'm going to revamp it.
Yes.
And it was
I love
this
that.
give back, like this thing of like, how can I help? How can it be of any help? It's how I close almost every email, how I close almost every introduction is, please let me know how I could be of any help. Right. And it was because I needed the help, because
Yeah.
I realized the people who did help me along the way were just doing it in passing, right? They're like, hey, Mel, you should talk to so-and-so. And that so-and-so ended up being another contractor. Hey, Mel, right? But I also realized very quickly that despite the roles and the jobs and everything else, there were very, 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 very few people who intentionally asked me, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Can I coach you? Can I mentor you? Hey, let me level you up. Hey, stick with me. Go to this meeting with me and I'll teach you how to do this. Flat, almost net negative. I had to inject myself into conversations. I had to ask the questions. I had to ask for this, right? Some beautiful souls were like, yep, I'll introduce you to so and so. And then it was off into the sunset. And then I had to take the lead. And you said it earlier before in the green room, and I say it all the time. I had to take action. So when I decided at 19 that I needed to move, I needed to rearrange, I decided that it wasn't just action. Thank you, Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, and all the other motivators. It's massive action. You have to take massive action towards what you believe in and what you do. So that's what I did. I had done it as just action, staying up late, coding late. I mean, I ended up I I ended up writing a book, and it was coming due, the next chapter, the next section was coming due. So I sat in our kitchen in New York and I'm typing away, and there's a bay window behind me in the kitchen. I had the lights on. So it's kind of, I'm really looking inward, but I'm just cranking away. All of a sudden, my wife comes down and I look up and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm writing this book. She goes, "Are you going to work?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "It's 7 a.m."
No, you've been awake
And I'm
all
like,
night
I had just been writing for like 12 hours and,
in the zone.
right. I didn't even realize. I turn around and I see, I'm like, oh shit, the sun is up. Right.
Yeah.
So 7, 8 in the morning, whatever it was. Um, I started to realize when I'm in it, I'm in the zone. And when I kind of recalibrate, I was like, I always take massive action. I'm always a bit overboard. And the transition for me to say, I can live the corporate life, I can live this life, I can do this. I'm like, no, I have a voice, I'm obnoxious, I'm Hispanic, I've got a story, let's go. Like, let's motivate people out of their damn chairs, off the couch, stop, like the whole, I mean, I think I've cried myself beyond belief on certain calls with colleagues and everything else, but it's because I see them.
Yeah.
I see them.
Yes. We were just talking about that. Like when those people just pour into you. Well, no, here's the deal. You show up, like I show up, and I just give and I pour in and I pour in. And so when you finally show up with someone who sees you and they start to pour into you, you're like almost letting out these repressed things that you didn't even understand. And when you finally get to show up as the giver for someone else that's giving to you bigger than you, it's like, this is what it's like. This is what it's like to hang out with these people who are just giving. And then the tears come because they're like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this so hard? And are you sure? And not are you sure, but just like redefining yourself through your words to say it out loud to them is like so validating to remind you why
Amen.
all of this is so important.
Amen. I'm gonna drop. Well, I mean, I will drop. I'll let them know when I'm gonna let somebody know when to listen to this portion of the segment or when this comes out. Uh, it is hard, right? We try to be humble, right? We try not to brag too much, try not to have an ego, and we also try to show that fortitude and that persistence without asking, begging, or anything else, because we've got a level of pride. But I got to say, the struggle is real. The emails that I get, the conversations and the posts that I put out there, the texts that I send to people, they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" There's certain folks where I know I can be like, "I'm on the struggle bus."
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, I was just hospitalized, a month and a half ago. Right? Literally, that's a fact. Right? I'm okay now, but and you can't always have that kind of relationship unless you've had a precursor of building a relationship and being vulnerable and being open. And we can get into my 5 V's
Oh
and all
yeah,
kinds of
because
other
givers
stuff.
aren't into like play the victim card. We're into be like those who can really trust sincerely to know that they're going to be like, I meet you where you're at right now.
Yeah. And I'll say I haven't lived every life drama or experience, but I lived enough in the good and the questionable. I won't say bad, the questionable, where, and this is again, you could look it up in psychology. You can look it up in all the other journals. When you've lived through similar scenarios, you can see it
Yeah.
and you can read people. And so when I get on a call, new client, new colleague, new whatever, and they start to say something, I'm like, and I stop them immediately because I know that if I don't jar them, they're going to continue in this thing. And I'm like, can you let me know about that thing? Because when you said that, your tone, your this, your that, and tears start flowing because I called them out on exactly where their bottleneck was. I have a client who I knew for about a year and a half. And this is one of those, like, the universe told me this had to be. She's like, Mel, I need your help. Can I just hire you? I'm like, sure. I said, hey, do me a favor. I don't usually do this. Do me a favor. Take this assessment, short assessment, 12 questions. And it came back. Now, I've known this person for a year and a half. It came back and I'm going, what I know versus what this assessment just told me are two completely different things. So we get on our call Friday morning, and standard little, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And then 2, 3 minutes into it, I said, hey, I know I said I want to talk about the assessment on our next call, but can I just walk you through what I knew about you and what the assessment just told me? And in 3 minutes, I recalibrated. I said, you showcase that you're here in the assessment. You tell the world that you're here. I'm like, and it was like a spin of so I called him up. I'm like, where are you? Who are you?
Yeah.
What is it that you're trying to do? And it was it was a beautiful moment. Again, both of us in breakdown, like, flow state. And I realized they weren't either. I'm like, you're right here.
Yeah.
You just camouflage yourself to the situation. And then we broke down where I was like, listen, this is what you get. Look at every damn interview that I've done in the last 6, 7 years. This is what you get, right? Guess what? I needed her to show up and show out regardless of the scenario. I'm telling you,
No.
monumental,
Yeah.
incredible accomplishments. That weekend, she went back to her family. She went back to a few things. By Monday, she's like, Mel, I don't know what the hell you did on Friday, and it's been phenomenal since. And it was because I saw something very different
Mm.
and I kind of sensed it, which may be why I told her to take the assessment. Right. And it was a simple assessment. It wasn't anything crazy. It's a standard industry assessment, but I
Yeah.
called her out immediately. And I'm like, record scratch. Nope. That's not what we're talking about. We're going to talk about this. And when I can see that, oh,
Yeah.
amen.
This
Amen.
is so
Because,
fun. Now, this is what you get to keep doing with people, right? Like this is what you do now because you're called for this.
well,
I mean,
I
this
love
is like
doing
a
this for
gift
my
that you can
teams,
yeah, yeah.
and that's what I love. That's why, and I kind of miss, not gonna lie, 5 years in a garage, working remotely is cute, but I miss going into the office. I miss pulling in the dynamics. I miss kind of meeting people where I can, and that's the elevate part. It's like, hey, Tiffany, I know you're good at XYZ and XYZ, but how about we get you on a TED Talk stage? Hey, how about we get you at, major speaking engagements around the world, right? Like, how do I elevate you? How do I help you recognize that there's a bigger stage, a bigger opportunity that aligns better with who you are, what you do? And that's what I love to do. Right.
Yeah.
I got stories around that, especially if they're on my team. Oh, I'm taking all the arrows and I'm going back to everybody and saying, this is where we're at. We need to commit to this. How do we get there? Right. And we pull the resources together. We understand. So I really, really do love elevating teams. And that's kind of the direction that I'm heading back into, because individuals are good. I've done mentoring groups and masterminds where I've kind of coached groups, but when it's for a company and it's helping rebuild culture, rebuild delivery, especially in IT and cybersecurity, where funding is low, the attacks are high, this, that, the other, there's a deficit. And that's the trauma and the drama that I've lived with in my career. Right. So knowing that, how do we make the best of what we have? Being an accounting major, I've always been into numbers, right? So I'm like, fine, I'll do the numbers, I'll do the quantifiables, the qualifiables, the assessments, but it's about those teams. And I just happen to do that with different organizations, nonprofit, ISSA SoCal and all the other ones that I ratted off. So I can still do that at an individual level. But for me, it's like, that's cute, but I need to do this in a holistic, like, give me a team of people. And
Yeah, yeah. Is there a
let's
limit?
forge
Like
ahead.
what's your favorite like low to high of teams that you want to be put in front of?
One of the what I feel is the most successful roles I had was at a company where I was running quarterly program deliverables for a multi-billion-dollar organization. The deliverables involved a ton of different groups and products and everything else. And the quarterly meeting, which is typically 2 to 3 days, was about 150 to 160 people. I was in my element
Yeah.
because it was different requirements, different technical, different security, different implementation, different personalities, right? And as I got to work with all of them, I got to figure out, I'm like, hey, I think you need to talk to Joe over in this group because they've already done this. Hey, hey, can we pull it back a little bit? Because, you're being, hey, can you wake up a little bit? Because, the rest of the world, right? So being able to orchestrate that kind of program where you're effectively in a auditorium, and then you have these breakout groups, and then you have the architectural design components. I'm like, so I would come in kind of like the concierge, right? And I would be like, why are you creating a pipeline that goes through here? Why don't you guys just skip over here? Because that's what this group is doing over here. And they're like, what? And then I would go to the next group. And to me, it put together all of the things that I do, right? Technical coordination, architecture, what brings in the dollars, because almost all of them were saving money, reducing fraud, making money, launching products. And I'm like, let's go. So I've had teams as small as 2 people who were super, super junior, and I had to elevate them up to teach them how to run security, but they were IT. So to me, it's just about the dynamics, also about the cross-functional pieces. Get me a business person, get me a salesperson, get me the head of legal. Let's go. How do we
Yeah.
pull this together?
All right. You're like superhuman in all of this. Of course, you don't have to be humble about it. But I have a question that is my favorite question I love to ask people when I remember to ask this amazing question. Why do you keep doing this and trying so hard for this as your thing that you do?
I can show you the picture of that 8-year-old kid who was clueless, had no idea about this other world. And I don't want anybody to grow up or to struggle. If I can give them one bit of information, one link, one piece, motivate them out of their headspace, because I've had to work through that. I'll be very honest, Tiffany. I've only admitted this once before. I have a family history of manic depression. I'm not medicated for depression. Why? Because I fight it almost every other day, every day. Right. I also, I've said this a few times. I am a energy vampire. While you think I'm giving you energy, the energy you're emitting, I'm just sucking up, because that to me is what keeps me motivated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, while it sounds evil, I'm going to throw it out there into the universe. I'm going to get people out of their headspace. I'm going to remove their limiting beliefs. I'm going to have them change their views, their values, vulnerability, their voice, and their vision, so that I can see them thrive. And then as I see them thrive, I'm sucking in their energy. When they post that they just got a job or that they just did this, I'm like, thank you. That comes back to me. Not because
Yes.
of me, but because I'm happy for you.
Yeah. Man, that's amazing. I love that so much. Okay. At this point here, I want everybody to know how to find you. Like, where do you want people are like, I need to know him. He needs to come with our company. I want to personally know him. Where's your favorite couple places that you want people to come seek you out? Other than the fact that if you guys don't know us on LinkedIn already, you're going to come find us.
Thank you.
What's your website?
So 1995, when I started doing my consulting, I created Mel Reyes Technical Solutions. And back in the day, it cost a pretty penny for a domain. So I've kept this domain for literally 30 years. So it's mrtech.com.
That's
So Mr.
amazing.
Tech. That's where you could find me, or Mel Reyes on LinkedIn. I won't be offended if you connect in with me and you unfollow me, so that you don't see my craziness in your stream.
Nah, algorithm's amazing. You can put out 100 pieces of content a day nowadays, and they just kind of they
You'd be
weave them in
surprised.
accurately.
I look at my wife's stream. She's got like a few, some connections, and it's like Mel's post, Mel's post. I'm like, oh my gosh! I'm like, she
How
needs to
funny.
connect with people that connect with that have more posts than me. But I appreciate that, and I get it.
I love that. Okay. I am so grateful that you've come on to tell people your heart and why you keep doing all this and how you're making an impact in so many people's lives. Can I ask you what's your favorite nugget that you want to leave with everybody?
I will. This is the end of one of my presentations. Almost all of my presentations is, and it's twofold: unshackle yourself from the limiting beliefs, and take massive action. Take every I don't know how to, I can't, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. And this one word will unshackle you and let you take massive action. One word. I just posted this last week or the week before. I don't know how to get that job yet. I don't know how to pass that test yet. I don't know who to reach out to yet. And every one of those limiting beliefs with that one word, yet. And then figure that shit out.
Yeah. Say it louder for those in the back. No, for real. This this is life-changing advice because you've been able to help people right now identify that one little baby three-letter word can change their paradigm and give them the hope. You have been what I told myself I was this year as the hope dealer. Mel, you have been a hope dealer for people with a three-letter word to change the fact that they say these self-limiting belief over and over and over as a record player, and now they have the ability to change it, not with like hours of coaching, but one word that they need to tape to their desk and their forehead and their phone, and they need to make happen. This was a stunning piece of advice. I'm so grateful that you said that because I need everyone to
Thank
hear
you.
it. Okay, anything on the horizon you want to share with anybody before we go?
I am continuing to enjoy the work that we're doing in the local community here in SoCal with ISSA SoCal, the events, the collaborations, ISIS Cyber, another cybersecurity educational program that's international. The give back continues, right? And for me, that next landing spot for that company that is willing to take a chance on somebody who might be a little bit loud, might be a little bit direct, but also cares and knows how to deliver. It'll be, it will be a 4th of July celebration once I do land that, because I am looking for that stable home where I can just put these 30 plus years of energy into one company. So to me, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, you heard it, guys, right here. This is it. There's only one slot that even could hold you. You are amazing. I'm so grateful that you were able to come. I'm so grateful that we had this time today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys so much for staying for the entire episode so you can hang out with all of us and come follow me, come follow Mel, friend us on LinkedIn, come see all the fun stuff that we post. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Thank you for being here. And thank you again, Mel.
Thank you.